Hey, it's your boy Skillz Savage. It is Monday, May 8th, and before you watch the video you're about to watch of my sports takes, little disclaimer that just before I started recording, news broke apparently that Gary Payton II is going to start for the Warriors in Game 4 in their series against the Lakers tonight instead of Kevon Looney, who I referenced more than once as being the likely starter based upon my sources, who I now know are no longer to ever be trusted again. I still hope you managed to enjoy my hour long of blather. Hey, here I am, Joe Skills Davis, 5 minutes later than expected, thanks to an app that didn't want to load properly. But I'm here now, and I'm here to talk Bay Area sports with you, a little bit of national sports with you, a little bit of Major League Baseball. Got some NFL thrown in there. Maybe towards the end we'll have some Tiger Woods talk. We'll have some NBA talk. And we'll dive into pretty much every one of the current events going on that you've been probably hearing about on every platform by now. It's been a busy week in the world of sports. There's been a lot going on. I am Skills, sometimes known as Skills Davis, sometimes known as Skills Savage. If you've never heard of me, that's because I'm not famous. You shouldn't have heard of me by now, at least not based upon the number of Twitter followers I have or YouTube followers I have. I am far from famous, but that's all right because, hey, the people who asked me to do this, they know me. They know that I got a little bit of opinions on things. They know I got probably the largest plate of random sports knowledge around, and hopefully the combination of those two things will allow me to entertain you for this next hour. I'm going to try to give you an hour. This is my first time. This is my first time doing this. It's just going to be me. I have no guests. I have no co-host. I have no partner. So I'm going to try to give you an hour here, and hopefully we get through it unscathed. We'll see how this goes. Now, enough about that. Enough blather. Let's get to what's going on. I was going to have an outline of topics to talk about, but I decided I'm just going to wing it. And the best thing about recording a podcast like this is if I don't like the way it turns out, I can always just re-record it. So we're just going to wing it for now and see how things go. Hopefully I don't omit anything. There's a lot going on this week. We'll start local. Game 4 of Warriors versus Lakers is going to start in about probably less than an hour, I believe. Now about 50 minutes is supposed to be tip-off down at Staples Center. I'm not calling it that stupid new name it has now. Down to Staples Center, where the Warriors are going to try to even up the series against the rival Los Angeles Lakers, who more or less kicked the crap out of us on, I believe that was Saturday night, yeah. 127-97 was that final score. The Warriors, well, you can't fault them for trying to dip into the JaMychal Green well a second time. And for those of you who don't follow the Warriors and who may not be aware of what went on this season, JaMychal Green was a free agent signing over the summer, and he had a good reputation in the league with, I believe he played with Memphis Grizzlies, a couple other teams. Guy could do some things. Capable. I guess you would probably classify him as maybe a stretch 4, somewhere in that range. Good rebounder, but he never really, during the course of the regular season, found his niche in the Warriors lineup. They ran him out there quite a bit early on, and he regularly failed to deliver, which isn't to say he didn't try. Now, you got guys who, for whatever reason, just don't work out. He was one of those guys who this season, he just didn't work out. He just was not a guy we had hoped he would take. And I say we, I'm a Warriors fan. As you see, I'm a 49ers fan, I'm a Giants fan, so I'm going to use those terms interchangeably. Bear with me here. The Warriors hoped that JaMychal Green could be the guy to take Otto Porter's place when Otto Porter left last season. The guy who can maybe get some rebounds, get some 3-pointers, knock down some threes, defend out on the perimeter a little bit, maybe knock down some mid-range shots, do that kind of thing. He's known to do for his whole career, but he never really got hot in the Warriors uniform. And as the season went on, he played less and less until he was pretty much not playing at all. Game 2 of this playoff series with the Lakers, the Warriors, Steve Kerr, head coach, they went with JaMychal Green in place of Kevon Looney, who, as if you saw the first round series between the Warriors and the Kings, who tore it up on the glass for the Warriors in that first round series. But Looney's a guy who is not going to give you a lot of offense. He's a guy who's not going to give you a lot of speed or athleticism. And if he's not rebounding, Looney's my guy. I hate to say this, but if he's not giving you anything on the glass or anything defensively, he's not really much use out there on the floor. So Coach Kerr decided to mix things up for Game 2, gave JaMychal Green the start, and as you might have heard, the Warriors defeated the Lakers by 27 points in Game 2. So I don't fault anyone for thinking, or at least, giving legitimacy to the thought that JaMychal Green can go out there in Game 3 and repeat what he had done in Game 2, or that the team could respond accordingly. The thing is, the Warriors were no longer playing in San Francisco in Game 3, A, and B, the Lakers had a chance to adjust in Game 3, and those factors led to Los Angeles basically just beating the living hell out of the Warriors that night. JaMychal Green was not a factor, and really no one was really much of a factor. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I remember that if there was one plus, the plus minus category, if there was one plus on the Warriors, I don't think it was more than one that night. So tonight, Game 4, from what I'm hearing, we're supposed to go back to Looney for Game 4 tonight, starting in an hour. Looney can do some things, and the Warriors all season long have not been a good road team. They've struggled. In fact, out of all the teams who made the playoffs, their road record, if it wasn't the worst one, it was right there near the worst. Golden State and Los Angeles is a place where Steph Curry's never shot well, so you have a number of things working against Golden State tonight, even with Looney, no matter who you start. But the important thing is the team is healthy. Andre Iguodala is supposedly nearing a return for whatever worth you might find from that. He's been pretty much an afterthought for most of the season. But at this point, anyone with some length and the ability to make things a little harder on LeBron James, Iguodala can hopefully deliver a little bit of that before the series is over with, as he recovers from his wrist injury suffered towards the end of the regular season. Am I counting on him? No, and nor should you. But it's I don't want to say it's uplifting or it's good. It would be a nice piece to have if he gets out there. Let's see him get out there first, and then we'll see how that works out. The main Warriors problems, as if you follow the series, is stemming from the much maligned Jordan Poole, the fourth-year player who still plays as if he believes he is the second coming of Steph, or at the very worst, the second coming of Clay, with his shot selection, which often is poor. And I don't care what anyone says. That shot he took at the end of Game 1, the Warriors can defend that as much as they want to. They can each individually go up to that podium, as they did after that game, stand up for Jordan Poole, which you kind of have to do in that situation, and not condemn him and not throw him under the bus for taking a shot he should not have taken. A shot that could have been better, a shot that could have waited, something could have... When you have the greatest shooter of all time on the floor, and you have one of the top 5 other greatest shooters of all time on the floor, and you take it upon yourself to take a 27-footer, however many feet it was, with that much time left on the clock, that's a problem. And I'm not inside the team, but I follow the team as closely as anybody who's not inside the team. And from the things I'm hearing about Poole is that basically, in so many words, most of the team has, I don't want to use the term fed up with him, but they are exasperated with him a lot of the time. He is one of those guys. He's very popular with the fans. Fans love him. You always see him around the arena before games, chatting it up with the courtside fans and people even up a few rows a bit. He's a likable guy. He's a smart guy, but that only gets you so far when you're trying to win basketball games. And Poole, his season started off on the wrong foot. Well, it started off with him not on his feet because he was knocked to the floor by Draymond Green. And to this day, 7-8 months later, we still don't know exactly what led up to that. But as time goes by, I think it's becoming more and more apparent that Jordan Poole triggered Draymond. And Draymond is not a tough guy to rile up, as we've seen. If you're a referee, especially. Bear with me, bear with my voice. I'm getting over a cold that had me all messed up all last week. So there's going to be a couple of coughs here and there. I don't have a mute button, at least not that I know of. So there's going to be some hacking and stuff like that. Bear with me. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Jordan Poole deserved to get hit. Maybe he did. I don't know if he did. I wasn't there. But the evidence that it continues to build to this day, based upon his actions, based upon his play on the court, based upon his behavior, and we saw, was it last week or the week before, Draymond again tried to pull Jordan off to the side and get some words in with him. Veteran to youngster. Hey man, this is what we got to do. And what did we see Jordan Poole do? We saw him just brush him off. It's a bad. I don't care who you are. When you have a veteran player, champion player and I'm not a huge Draymond guy. I'm not a big fan of Draymond at all, to be honest with you. But I respect everything that he's helped the Warriors achieve. And so when it comes to basketball, if he's telling me, and I'm Jordan Poole and I'm a fourth-year guy who has never been a full-time player, who's only played full-time when others have been hurt, and I don't care how much money I'm making, I'm going to at least show him the respect to at least give the appearance that I'm listening to what he's saying to me. Appearances mean a lot. And if you don't think they mean a lot, let's go back to 2019, I believe it was, when Jordan Bell and Steve Kerr got into it on the bench down there. I think I was in Los Angeles too. And Jordan Bell was yelling at Steve Kerr the way you would yell at your child for getting out of line. And to this day, that's one of the worst looks I've ever seen from opposite ends of the stature. At the time, 3-time championship coach with all his other trophies he won as a player, getting dressed down by Jordan Bell, who in NBA terms, I don't know what he is, but in NBA terms, he's nobody. And that was a bad look. And that looks, if that irked me, it had to irk everyone else in the Warriors system. So getting back to Jordan Poole, so we already know Poole was on thin ice. And this incident happens with Draymond, where Draymond's trying to say, hey man, we got to do this. Jordan Poole brushes him aside, doesn't even turn his head, listen to him, goes onto the bench. And we saw, if you haven't seen this, what happens next is Stephen Curry. Of all, the mild-mannered, usually pretty tame, usually pretty calm and timid, Stephen Curry gets in Jordan Poole's face and tells him in no uncertain terms, yo dog, fix it, right? We don't see that from Steph a lot. We don't see that from Steph at all. And I've watched almost every game he's ever played. I've never seen him get in anybody's face or get on anybody's case, out in the open like that, the way he did that night. And if you got Steph Curry breaking his character that he's established all these years and getting on your case, then chances are you're the one who screwed up. Especially when you have numerous other incidents in recent years, people on your case, or even hitting you because of your mouth or because of your behavior, your poor play, or however, whatever incident it may have happened to be at the time. So Jordan Poole, with all when he was extended, his contract was extended back in I think it was a week or two after the punch, which would have been November maybe, October, November, whatever it was. At the time, I kind of understood it. I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I understood it. Because what it looked like to me was Warriors management had to send a message to Poole and a message to Draymond, who was getting it from all sides at that time, that this isn't going to be tolerated. We're not going to cut Draymond. We're not going to trade Draymond because he helps us win. There's no denying that. But what we are going to do, we're going to make it clear to Draymond and everyone else here that Poole is important as well, that he's going to be with us for, at the very least, the foreseeable future. He's not going anywhere, and he's making just as much money as pretty much anybody on the team. And well, except Curry, who's making like $100,000 million. That doesn't even count. But Curry, I mean, not Curry, Poole. He had my sympathy for a while there, because it's a bad look. We were talking about bad looks a few minutes ago. It's an equally bad look when you have. And don't worry, I'm going to get back on this playoff series here in a minute. I just kind of got off on a Poole tangent here. I'm building up to my point on Poole. It's a bad look when you have Draymond, 32 years old, 6'8", all that anger and stuff, beating on a guy who's that much younger, that much smaller than him. It just doesn't look good. And I've maintained the same thing to this day, that even with Draymond's known hot temper, for him to go that far, something was said, something was done by Poole disrespectful. Especially now, and looking back now, that we see that is not the last time he dissed Draymond out in the open. I just told you a story. Him and Draymond's trying to talk to him. And I don't care. When you're a professional basketball player, appearances mean a lot. All right, you got to have if you're not all in it together, especially when you're a playoff team and you're trying to win your second championship in a row, you've got to have unity. If you're not united, if you're not all together, you better damn sure at least make it look like you are, because otherwise, hey, other teams are if I'm seeing it and you're seeing it, other teams are seeing it too, and they're gonna use it to their advantage. And Poole is not as good as a player as Poole can be. And he's been a good player. We all remember the Philadelphia game toward the end of the regular season. All his big baskets down the stretch that night. He was the hero and all that stuff. We know Jordan Poole has talent. There's no questioning his talent. But what's between the guy's ears is what's keeping him from being more than what he is. And whatever he is now, I don't know what he is now. All right, he's the money he's making. He's making more than a lot of starting guards in the league. And if he would have hit the free agent market, I believe he would have been a free agent after this season. I have to look that up. But in any event, someone would have paid him based upon what he's shown in his streaks, his good streaks when he's been a starter, subbing for Steph or subbing for Clay. Someone would have paid him a lot, probably at least as much as what the Warriors paid him, depending on the rules. The NBA salary cap rules, all those levels and stuff. I have to break that down. I can't tell you right now if he, who could pay him what. But what I do know is that the Warriors, in order for them to win this series against the Lakers, and the Lakers have come out, they stunk it up in Game 2, but they gave him everything in Game 1. They gave him everything in Game 3. And we know that Anthony Davis is streaky, and we know that Anthony Davis sometimes is not someone that you can't always rely on him to be your best or even your second best player. He's going to be what he's going to be, which is some nights he's going to give you 25 points, and he's going to give you 13 rebounds. It's going to be nights where he's going to give you, whether if his physical reasons holding him back, whatever. There's going to be nights where he's going to give you 13 and 4. It's embarrassing to even imagine a guy with that much talent going 13 and 4 if he's not hurt. But that's what we have in Anthony Davis, and the Warriors cannot count on him having bad games. They have to beat him. They can't count on him beating his own team or holding his own team down, because you never know. Which Davis could dominate the rest of the series, especially since the Warriors don't have anyone on their roster with any iota of his combination of size and talent. No one. The last time they had anyone with Anthony Davis's size and talent who can match up with him like that, wow. I'm thinking, Bogut once upon a time, defensively would have been a good matchup, right? But Bogut, even at his best with the Bucks, was never offensively as gifted as Davis was, never even close. And Bogut was a good player, and before he broke his elbow, Bogut could score a little bit, but never on the level of Davis. Davis, can do so many different things when he's up for the challenge, right? He can do so many things on the court. He can spot up. He can mid-range. He can go to the basket. He can finger roll. He can hit the three. He can ball handle. He can do anything when he's up to it. But you never know when that's going to be. And the Warriors cannot count on him holding himself back. They have to go at him. They have to beat him. And they're not going to. Okay, here's my point. I believe the Warriors can beat Anthony Davis and the Lakers. They can beat LeBron James and the Lakers. They can beat D'Angelo Russell and the Lakers without Poole dominating, without Poole excelling. They still have enough firepower, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. This is my belief. But if Clay and Wiggins and Draymond, up to his level of capability, and a couple of the bench guys, you need two bench guys to help out. Now, let's just say DiVincenzo is one of those bench guys who fills a supporting role. And let's say our other bench guy, we're taking Poole out of the equation for the moment. We'll go with DiVincenzo, and I'm not sure I want to put JaMychal in that category. But let's just for the sake of argument, let's just go with JaMychal, and let's say if the Warriors can get contributions from those guys up to their capabilities, they don't have to have Poole going for 20 a night. They don't have to. It would help. Don't get me wrong. It would help. But they cannot beat the Lakers if Poole is helping the Lakers more than he's helping the Warriors. Right? Does that make sense? Poole, too many times this series with his ball handling and his shooting, has helped the Lakers more than he's helped the Warriors. And I meant to write down his combined plus minus for the two losses. I don't have that in front of me either. This is things I have to fix for next time, if there is a next time. If you guys don't beg Cav Leland and the Lingus Mafia to kick me off forever. But if there is a next time, I'll have those numbers for you. Poole, he does not have to be the reason the Warriors win, but he can't be the reason. He can't be holding them back. He can't hold them back from either. He cannot help the Lakers more than he can help the Warriors. He's got to help the Warriors somehow. And that's playing within himself, taking smart shots, not turning the ball over, not trying to out-dribble, out-shake everyone that comes out in front of him. And he's capable of doing this, as we've seen. He's demonstrated he can do this. And I wouldn't be bringing this up if these weren't things that he's not capable of doing. These weren't things that he's demonstrated he can do that he's done in the past. Poole can do all these things. He can play within himself. It's just there's, and I'll go back, and I don't remember where I saw this or where I heard it was on somewhere on the radio on 95.7 The Game, or somewhere on maybe a YouTube comment. Someone said that someone was defending Poole, which if you want to defend Poole, okay, but your defense needs to be an intelligent one. Their defense of Poole was, why can't Poole take the same shots that Curry and Clay do? Someone really said this. Why can't Poole take the same shots that Curry and Clay do? Right? Yeah, that was this person's, and I'm not one. Look, I'm usually not one to disrespect the opinion of someone else when it comes to sports. I am hardly a know-it-all. I got all this endless sports trivia knowledge, and I can recite lineups and things like that from years gone by and stats and things. But I am hardly the guru or the end-all or the emperor of sports. Okay, I am in no position to make fun of most opinions or most takes, because some of my opinions and my takes are honestly retarded, and they've been proven to be that. Okay, so I try to use humility. I'm talking to you now, but I try to always be humble with what I'm telling you. All right, because I know I'm not the end all. So I when I'm speaking of someone else's opinion, that take, it has to be retarded for me, Skillz Savage, to just laugh at it the way I just did. Jordan Poole is a very good player. And he has done a lot of great things in the NBA so far. He's not Steph Curry. He's not Klay Thompson. He's not even Andrew Wiggins. He's not. He's not. He hasn't earned that right to do the things they do. Those of you who have siblings, I'm sure your siblings have at one point or the other said, especially those of you with younger siblings, why can't I do what Big Brother does? Why can't I do what Big Sister does? Because Big Brother and Big Sister have earned the privileges to do what they do. They've earned the privilege to stay out past dark. They've proven to be responsible with those privileges. You, on the other hand, when we give you privileges, Junior, you blow it. You do stupid things. When we, like Big Brother, stay out late, Big Brother comes back when Big Brother is supposed to be back. Big Brother has gas in the car. Big Brother, we always know where he has been. When you stay out late, there's flat tires on the car. There's dog poop on the floor. Don't have to have dog poop on the floor of the car, but it's there. You come in 5-10 minutes late, sometimes more than that. You haven't earned the privilege to do what Big Brother does, and Jordan Poole hasn't earned the privilege to do consistently what the, let's say it together now, Hall of Fame backcourt of Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson get to do. Can you imagine that? Could you imagine Patrick Baldwin coming out saying publicly to Steve Kerr, Coach Kerr, how come I don't get to take the shots that Andrew Wiggins gets to take? How come I have to pass the ball so much? How come I don't get to shoot? Steve Kerr, as diplomatic as Steve Kerr is, he would laugh in his face. He would laugh in Baldwin's face. You're a long way from Andrew Wiggins, son. You're a long way. You proved to me that you can at least make open shots, regular. Then we'll start calling plays for you. Then we'll go from there. Well, so I didn't mean to. And look, I'm not trying to bash Poole because I know that Jordan Poole has more basketball talent in his pinky finger than I do in my entirety. And so I'm not gonna. It's not let me just sit here and bash him, but he is a reason why. He's gonna be a reason why. Whichever way this series ends up tilting, he's going to have a deciding role in whether or not the Warriors win or whether or not the Warriors lose, unless he gets hurt. And I don't want him to get hurt, obviously. No one does. And the Warriors are a better team when he's playing in control and within himself. And that's all we're asking him to do. He's not Steph. He needs to stop trying to be Steph. There is no other Steph. Steph changed basketball. Steph changed basketball. Not just in the NBA, but nationwide. On all levels, high school on down. His style of play changed the game probably forever, and there's no going back. At least not for a long time, not until we get a bunch more Shaqs out there playing. And it's a lot more easy to produce Jordan Poole's, or I should say Steph Curry prototypes than it is to produce Shaq prototypes. All right. So I'm going to use these next couple minutes here. We're about halfway through. Thanks for sticking around. If you stuck around so far, hopefully I haven't put you to sleep yet. I went on the radio 95.7 a game twice in the Sacramento series to sing the praises of Kevon Looney, the Warriors center, who was so big for them in that series with his rebounding and with his defense. I believe he had 3 different games worth 22 rebounds, and if I remember correctly, I thought I heard that only Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurman had ever done that for the Warriors. I have to double check that, but there was something along those lines with Looney's rebounding in Warriors history with those two guys who are obviously not just Warriors legends, but all-time NBA legends. So for him to be up there with those two guys, having Wilt and Nate look down on him, I'm sure they're looking down on him with pride for the Warrior uniform and everything he's accomplished, despite not being the biggest center around. He Looney deserves so much praise, and he hasn't had a great series so far against the Lakers. He only started the first game, and then when Kerr decided to go with Jermichael Green for the second or third game. From what I understand, he's supposed to be going tonight as a starter. So we'll see how that works out. I look forward to watching it. But I told 95-7 the game, and this is the one time I like I said, I'm not right about everything. I'm not an expert, but when I am right, I am going to brag about it. I told him that Kevon Looney was going to be a difference maker in that series, and he was. When Steph and Looney took over, that was game 7. Actually, it was game 7. Yeah, when Curry dropped the 50 piece, it was him and Looney doing most of the work. Curry putting in the points, and when everyone else shot and missed, Looney cleaned up that mess and got it back to Curry. It was a formula that worked beautifully, and it worked beautifully because Sacramento just doesn't have the talent that the Lakers do. Going up against DeMontis Sabonis with all his talent, it's not the same as going up against Anthony Davis and LeBron James. So Loons, if you're out there, you're not going to hear this obviously before tip-off, but if somehow, let's just say there's some kind of cross line, some kind of cross signal, and this podcast is coming in through your speaker, your headphone, whatever, and you can hear what I'm saying to you, Loons, just do what you do, man. You're an excellent player. You've come a long way from all your early career issues with injuries and things like that, and you are a huge reason why the Warriors are where they are today. So give them hell out there, Loons. For me, for your boy Skillz. All right, now we're officially halfway through, past the halfway point. Talk a little bit about the news from the other playoff series. We'll start with, and there's been weird stuff going on in all the other series. You have the Heat-Knicks series, where Miami now leads in that series. They're up 2-1 on the Knicks, I believe. And Game 4, that should be. Let me check my notes here. Did disappear for a minute. Yeah, Game 4 is tonight, Miami and the Knicks. So, when we think of the Heat and Knicks, it's hard to not think about the series gone by with Alonzo Mourning and Jeff Van Gundy dangling on his leg and all that stuff. But this turned out to be a very good, good thing about the radio life. Very good, very competitive, very balanced series between these two teams. And you have to remember, Miami was an 8 seed that knocked out the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Knocked around 5 games, cost Mike Budenholzer his job. Miami to get there, and Miami was a play-in team too, if I'm not mistaken. So to get that 8 spot, obviously to get that 8 spot, you have to be a play-in team. So, and then you have the Knicks, who were they're 5 seed, and here they are. After all these years where they've been on the bottom or near the bottom, and one of the worst teams been just a joke, just a black hole of what's the word I'm looking for here? What's the word when you have dysfunction? Dysfunction. That's what I'm looking for. From ownership, throwing out Charles Oakley out of the arena, and Spike Lee can't get in the arena and all this stuff. That was what you heard about from the Knicks the last few years. It's good to see them turning it around. I just wish that I still wish they had a different owner. I think that this guy Dolan here is going to find a way to screw up any momentum the Knicks build this season, however far they go in the playoffs. Because remember, the Knicks were a playoff team a few years ago, and Dolan and his crack team of experts blew that up, threw that all away. Derrick Rose is still on the Knicks, as you know, and you may have heard this is his final season in the NBA. He's going to be stepping down as an active player at the end of the season. He got some run. I think it was in Game 2. He got some garbage time run. It was either Game 1 or Game 2. He got some garbage time run. Good to see Derrick Rose in the playoffs. Maybe for all we know, maybe he'll get his ring. Maybe the Knicks will go all the way and give Derrick Rose that title he was never able to get, which would put the cap on one of the most certainly one of the most interesting careers of his generation, Derrick Rose. And you think about where he would be with a more cooperative body and better fortune. Um, but he'll still be able to look back and say he got 15 years out of the NBA, which is more than a lot of guys get. It's more than Larry Bird got as a player. And so I have never heard anyone speak poorly of Derrick Rose as a man or as a player. I have nothing bad to say about him as a man or as a player. I don't know him as a man, obviously, but I have nothing. I have opinions on most things. I don't have anything bad to say about Derrick Rose, except sometimes when he's he's in scoring mode, he can look very frightening. He just has one of those faces. He just has a mean-looking face, and I'd be afraid of him if I were playing against him. So one of the many reasons why I never made it to the NBA. So Derrick Rose. Tribute to you, however far you make it in the playoffs, because you may, by the time my next recording comes out a week from today, you may or may not be in the playoffs. The Knicks may or may not still be around. So hopefully, individually, I really don't care who wins between Miami and New York, but it would not be a bad thing, and I would not be upset to see Derrick Rose and the Knicks advance to round 3 of the playoffs. Because he's one of the guys, like Kevon Looney. And Kevon Looney is one of those guys who appreciates everything he's gotten in this league and who understands this league has done for him. Derrick Rose is the same type of guy. Always gracious, always appreciative. Realizes that what he has accomplished in his life. Not a lot of guys get a chance to do that. Not everyone is blessed the way he's been blessed. Even with his misfortune, with his knee injury, and you could say he wasn't blessed. Well, look what happened to him. The man still won an MVP. The man still made $1 zillion. The man still played 15 years. Most of that at a high level. He's had it better than probably 80 to 90% of the guys that come down the pipeline. Remember, he was the first overall draft pick, too. And So Derrick Rose is a guy that, every player coming in the league, high draft pick, low draft pick, he's a guy you wanna emulate. He's a guy you want to play like. Not that just anybody can do the things Derrick Rose could do when he was in his prime, but Derrick Rose's work ethic, Derrick Rose's humility and effort. Those are things that every player, young player coming into this league, would want to emulate from Derrick Rose. It's just too bad he's going to... And I keep calling him Derrick Rose. It sounds funny, just call him Rose. Rose to me is Pete Rose. All right, so when I say those two names together, just bear with me. It's just one of those things. It's like Charlie Brown, okay? So there we go. Derrick Rose, kudos to you from a fat man in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, who you've never met and probably never will meet. You had a great career with the Bulls, the Knicks, the Timberwolves, and I believe you also were with the Cavaliers for a minute. Kudos to you, and God bless you for whatever you choose to do from here on out. We got your back. So, moving on to the other series, we have Celtics, we have 76ers, and the big story last week was no doubt Joel Embiid, accidentally, mind you, but still, stepping on the head of Celtics big man Grant Williams while Williams was down on the ground. And, pardon me. Those weren't supposed to come till later. Grant Williams, two things about Grant Williams that I took from that incident is that Grant Williams his skull anyway is built of some stuff that they need to use in the military. They need to use on planes for his head to not crush and cave in under the weight of Joel Embiid's massive body. Now, obviously, Embiid didn't have his full weight. It wasn't a stomp. I think Embiid was probably able to pull some of his weight off once he realized what was happening. But for Williams to not die instantly is, that's a man right there that we should, maybe inspect. Our government should be checking him out to see what he's made of. Maybe try to genetically reproduce whatever his bone something. All right, we got to make more of him. We got to make more tough guys like him. And for Grant Williams' part, from what I saw and what I read, he took the incident for what it was. And Embiid has a history. We know Embiid has a history of mixing it up with a lot of different dudes. He doesn't shy away from that. He's the kind of, if you go on YouTube, you'll see for yourself. If you see these packages of NBA fights or NBA scuffles or things like that, or even just NBA WTF, Embiid's in the middle of a lot of it. He always has been since the moment he recovered from his foot injuries and entered the league all those years ago. He's a guy who gets under people's skin. He's a guy who does not pretend to be anything but a pest. Especially in his earlier days. Not so much these days as the team's got better around him. There's more at stake. But Embiid is a guy who will mix it up. Will start trouble. But in this case, he was not trying. Embiid is, he's a troublemaker. Yeah, he's not a sadist. He's not going to stomp on Grant Williams' head just for the hell of it. All right. So kudos to Grant Williams from what I read and what I saw. Taking it in stride as best as you can, something like that. Realizing the situation for what it was, not going overboard with an overreaction that could have really just been out of place and sent things, taking the focus off of what's shaping up to be a pretty good series between the Sixers and the Celtics. And they play next on Game 5 is tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. So have your DVR or have your TV on, have your DVR set for that. And then lastly, for NBA, and we'll move on to baseball for the last period of the show, we have Game 4 of the Nuggets and the Suns, which was yesterday. And the big story out of there, of course, is Nikola Jokic shoving, if you're going to believe what everyone's telling you, shoving the owner of the Suns, whose name I can't remember, can't pronounce, and I'm not even going to bother because it's irrelevant. But thankfully, the NBA and the news came out today that Jokic is not going to be suspended. He is fined $25,000 for, as if you don't know what happened, the ball got into the seat somehow. A fan wouldn't give it back. Jokic is trying to get to the ball. His elbow, he kind of knocks the Suns owner, who's, as you might expect, considerably smaller than him, knocks him backwards and, out of the way. Jokic did not know who it was, obviously, at the time, and I don't think that would have mattered. He's trying to get to the ball. For his part, the owner, when asked about the event, said that he did not want, and maybe this played a role in why Jokic is only fined and not suspended, but the owner actually, to his credit, went on record as saying he didn't want Jokic to be penalized in terms of a suspension for what happened, because, well, basically, there was not, he wasn't trying to harm anybody. He's trying to get to the ball. It's just, when that kind of stuff happens and the fans get involved, there's people who advocate for fans, courtside seats, things like that to be done away with. Kind of like in hockey, where you have the big glass that protects the fans from flying pucks, but also from any incidents with the players out there who are generally pretty mean and have big sticks and aren't going to take kindly to any kind of disrespect or interference from a fan, the way NBA players are forced to. Because as the incidents pile up, and there's been so many of them in recent years. Russell Westbrook's been front and center for some of them. LeBron James, he's had his share. He's had one or two that I can think of where fans are just, doing things that they really have no business saying or doing to anyone in society, but they feel that because they're, we're going to assume that since they're sitting so close to these players that they're well off, or they have money, access to a lot of money, they're entitled, and these players to them are just not even human beings. And maybe they would say these things to these players or other people in private. Odds are they wouldn't. They think they're above any kind of punishment, and so they'll go and I won't repeat. The worst one I've heard so far was the one from Russell Westbrook in Utah, where the fan, the things he was telling Russell Westbrook to do to him. I and most people especially people of color, we would have responded the same way. There's just things NBA players are human beings. They might be famous and rich. They're not just images on a card. They're not just sprites in a video game. They're not just characters on a television. You're dealing with real human beings. And people forget that. That's why, how often do you hear about fans confronting players out in public like that? Do you think anyone's going to go up to LeBron James, 6'8", 458-pound LeBron James? Do you think anyone's going to go up to him and say some of the crap they say to him in the arenas? No, of course not. Of course not. There's no protection there, and there's no liability there. There's no lawsuit video. There's no recording you can use in a lawsuit later on, which is the only reason why these players don't beat the hell out of some of these fans, just because they don't want to get sued for it later on or go to jail. So, I've over the years become an advocate, and you can disagree with me all you want, and you can say players gotta have tough skin, players gotta have thick skin. What other line of work, career, would you have to sit around while random people you don't know, who don't know you, they just know your name, what you look like, they don't know anything else about you, can just insult you, while you're trying to work? I'm not down for that. 43 years old. I'm not down for that. I'm not taking insults from anybody. Especially some little punk half my age who just got in daddy's wallet and now he's sitting at an NBA game. Oh, hell no. Another reason why I wouldn't make it to the NBA. I wouldn't take that kind of crap. It's about respect. I respect everyone I come in contact with as long as they give me a reason to. And if you have a problem with respecting me as a person, then hey, let's go. And that's that's why I think that just to protect the players, and I say protect, I mean like not that they're in any danger, but just to separate the players and the fans so these incidents stop, and as a way to maybe show a little, show that there's consequences for your actions. Not that most of these people would learn lessons, because if you're the kind of person who would, like with Ron Artest, throw a cup from the stands to the player, or just whichever other example you want to cite, if you're the kind of person who thinks that sort of thing is okay, then nothing's really going to change your mindset. But it's never going to happen. You're never going to have that kind of separation between the NBA and the court and the seats, because those seats bring in so much money from people who want to sit courtside. That's not going away. Money. That's what drives things. As you know this. Money's what drives things. And also don't forget, the league itself, they'll never admit this, but the league itself makes money whenever these players lose their temper or run out of patience. I think is more accurate. Because what happens when a player goes after a fan, even if it's just verbally a lot of the time, comes out of the player's paycheck, goes to the league. And does the league give that money back to, let's say, the fan or anyone else? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know where it goes, but it doesn't go there. So it is beneficial, in a way, it is beneficial to the league to keep fans and players at odds, because they make money off of it. They really do. And that's the reason why it would only for safety reasons would it ever change. Safety reasons is the only way you'd ever get that barrier built between fans and players. LeBron Shaq doesn't play anymore. Let's say LeBron or Joel Embiid, they would have to go flying in the sands and crush an old man's pelvis, or break the nose of a middle-aged woman or a young child. And then we'd have to have 5 instances of that, I think, before the people with the power to change things, the people with the voice, and the people with the incentive to make changes will finally band together and speak up and say, "Hey, let's do this. We got to change things. We got to separate them." And I'm not saying. Well, I did say it would never happen. It could happen because remember, there was a time in baseball when fans were allowed to watch from center field. There was just like a rope in some of these ballparks. I think Polo Grounds, where the Giants played way back in the day, had rope out in center field where the fans were separated. And I don't know if any for them to do that, it must have been pretty easy to keep them under control back then. I know today you can never do it. Could you imagine you're playing at Fenway Park or even Citi Field where the Mets play, or even even Miami? If fans were to go to Miami's ballpark, whatever they call that now, Marlins Park, whatever it's called now, and there's a rope in center field to keep fans and players away while the paying fans are watching on the field. How long do you think it would be before fans went over, under, or through that rope to get their hands on one of the outfielders? I give it a week at most. So that was done away with way back in the 20s or whenever it was. So I guess maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will do away with courtside seats, but it's going to take safety. It will never be because of respect for the players on the court. It'll be for safety and liability reasons. Because the last thing the NBA will want is to have to fork over. What I say drives everything, money. They will not want to fork over money to pay for anyone's medical bills because Joel Embiid's knee went in some old man's pelvis. 10 minutes left in the show. And I'm going to spend these last 10 minutes touching on some baseball news. And I think we'll go from... we'll start with the dark stuff, of which there was much this past week. And then we'll work our way to the actual standings and things like that in Major League Baseball. I hope to get in a couple of football tidbits. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but we'll see. Ryan Yarbrough, you may know him from his 5 years with the Tampa Bay Rays. He was on their pennant-winning team in 2020, left-handed pitcher, mostly a starter, sometimes a reliever. Now with the Kansas City Royals, 2 days ago he was facing, or was it yesterday? Over the weekend, let's just say over the weekend, he was facing A's first baseman Ryan Noda. And if you haven't heard of him, that's because you haven't heard of 22 of the 26 current Oakland A's. I promise you. You've heard of Jesus Aguilar. You've heard of Ramon Laureano. You've heard of... that's it. There's no one else. I don't think there's anyone else that the average fan would know off the A's 26-man roster. But getting back to what happened was Ryan Noda facing Yarbrough in the sixth inning against the A's and Royals, line one right off of Yarbrough's face, and broke it into a few pieces. Broke some bones in there. And Yarbrough obviously was removed for the game. He still picked up the win. 5 2/3 innings, he was still able to get the W, at least, so there's that. But he's been placed on a 10-day IL. He's going to miss some time with his as his face recovers. So we want to send our best wishes out to Ryan Yarbrough of the of the Kansas City Royals now. Hope that he has a speedy recovery. The Royals are one of the few teams in baseball equally as wretched as the A's, or close to it. So, not many people probably saw what happened. So this is me telling you, giving you the information that you're hopefully coming here to get. Other baseball news: we lost Ryan, we lost the great Vida Blue over the weekend at age 73. Vida Blue was one of the few pitchers or players, period, to shine on both sides of the Bay Bridge. Of course, started out with the Oakland A's. Was he with the Kansas City A's? He may have started out with the Kansas City A's in '67. I got to double check that. I should have double checked that. My bad. But he made his name with the Oakland A's. Pitched for years there. 1971. MVP and Cy Young Award winner. He threw a no-hitter. I believe it was in '70, and he was with the A's for a long time. Moved on to the Kansas City Royals. Got into some trouble with cocaine. Man from baseball. Let back into baseball. Hooked up with the Giants, had some good years there with the Giants. Ended his career with the Giants. I believe '86 was his last year. Um, Very good career, 209 career wins. Not much Hall of Fame love. Too many ups and downs in his career, I guess, for that, plus the cocaine. But Vita Blue, for what it's worth, most people who came in contact with him, worked with him, knew him. He's a Hall of Fame guy. And he later on in life, he was featured heavily on Giants pre and post game shows, and you could see that even then he was respected, loved. Reggie Jackson in his first book in 1984, he wrote in his book called Reggie, had high praise about Vita Blue and Vita Blue's smile and how no one could get mad at Vita Blue, even when he was ratting out his teammates for misbehaving or whatever it was that was going on. You couldn't stay mad at Vita Blue. That was the one guy on the team that nobody could stay mad at, even when they had reason to. So Vita was. I was able to meet him 13 years ago at A's Fan Fest. I'm a Giants fan, but I still attend A's Fan Fest from time to time. Vita was there one year. I met him along with Dave Stewart. Took a photo with him and took a photo with them and with me and my then girlfriend and our daughter, who was a baby at the time. And Vita was talking a lot of smack, friendly smack with the fans, along with Dave Stewart. And it was easy to see how people could get engaged with him. Dan Dibley told a funny story. Dan Dibley of 95.7 The Game about Vita heckling him when he was being a ball boy at the ballpark one time. Funny story. Rick Tittle had good things to say about him, another Bay Area sports radio guy. And the list goes on and on. Vita was certainly popular, if nothing else. And he passed away at 73, and may he rest in peace. He's not going to be forgotten here for, ever. And I hope one day he has a spot in the A's Hall of Fame. Even if the A's end up moving to Vegas, which may or may not happen, that's kind of up in the air right now. We'll say that for another show. But the other news I'm going to touch on before we leave is the news about A's announcer Glenn Kuiper, who, if you didn't hear, has been suspended by the Oakland A's for accidentally letting the N-word, what sounded a lot like the N-word, slip out of his mouth during a pregame segment talking about the Negro League Museum in Kansas City, where he and his on-air partner, Dallas Braden, were visiting when the A's were in Kansas City. And Glenn has been suspended, and I can only hope, as a long-time, I don't know if fan is a word, but I respected Glenn. I enjoy his broadcast. I enjoy his work. And I don't like to see anyone canceled or out of work, whatever, over-punished more than what they should be for an innocent mistake. No matter, it's an awful word. Don't get me wrong. As you can see, I'm a black man. I don't like the word. No one likes the word. No black person likes the word. But there's a difference between Glenn Kuiper letting the N-word slip out while trying to say Negro than Glenn Kuiper, for example, saying, "Oh, Vita Blue died? I gotta pretend I care about this N-word?" There's a big difference between those two things. And this isn't a case of a man, expressing hate for black people on camera. This is a case of a man whose tongue, and it's happened to me like 20 times at least during this filming, his tongue slipped up. In the worst possible way. And you can't ignore it. He's got to pay for it somehow, but he shouldn't pay for it with his job, and he shouldn't pay for it with his career. When no one knows, no one can sit here and say for a fact they know that that's a racist man. Not when people such as the head of the Negro League Museum and Dave Stewart himself, those two men, two of the most respected men in around, not just black men, but men period in the game of baseball, came to Kuiper's defense. So I hope that in time, this is one of those things just kind of blows over and we can move on with our lives. There's a difference between hate and clumsiness. This is a case of clumsiness. Let's not overreact just because it's a horrible word, don't get me wrong, but it's not like 25 of us caught on fire and died the instant he said it. It's a word. Let's move on, people. I'm Skillz Savage. You can find me if this didn't bore you to tears or upset you in any way, you can find me, some of my other work on YouTube at the Skillz Report. You can visit theskillsreport.com for more sports, whatever, and more stuff there. And I'm also on Twitter at the Skillz Report. A lot of imagination there, as you can see. This has been fun. The hour went by quicker than I expected it to. I had hoped to have a trivia game for us. I kind of forgot to do that, so that'll have to wait for another time. But until then, this is me. This is my thoughts on sports. Hopefully I'll see you again.